It's Nickey of Group Editors speaking with a DA Deputy Federal Chairperson, Dr. Ivan Meyer. Doctor, the DA has done tremendously well in the province and also, it seems, in the whole of the Western Cape. Please give us a comparison. How did they do with the rest of South Africa?
Thank you very much, Nickey. It's really a first call of duty is to thank the voters of the Western Cape, to thank them for expressing a vote of confidence in the Democratic Alliance. If you look at what has happened in the rest of the country, obviously we are a little bit disappointed, but we are thankful for every single vote that came out to vote, because they have voted for our core message, which is one South Africa for all. We are still determined with that message, because that message is a message that we want to unite all South Africans. So thank you to all the voters across the country. But more specifically, the Western Cape, we have done extremely well in both the North West region, the East region, and in the Metro region. Voting is still counted as we speak here, but it is clear that DA will have a new premier in the Western Cape, in Winde. We are particularly delighted that we have received an outright majority, because one thing we don't want in the Western Cape is a coalition of ANC and EFF corruption. We don't need any partners to form a government in the Western Cape, and I want to thank the voters for that. But important, after the election, politicians need to govern with humility. So while we have an outright majority, we need to go out and the faith and confidence of the voters and deliver to that specific target group here in the Western Cape. And I'm particularly happy that the election generally in the Western Cape was peaceful. Obviously, many challenges from the IEC. Voting stations open late, ballot papers ran out, VEC forms not there. But in the general overall picture, the Western Cape is the only province that the Democratic Alliance is governing, and we are particularly confident for the mandate that we have received from the voters in the Western Cape. And we will do everything now in our powers to prepare for the 2021 elections, and particularly from the region of your newspapers. I'm particularly happy that in the Southern Cape, or the Garden Route as it is well known now, that the Democratic Alliance has done exceptionally well, and I want to thank our leader there, Jaco and Tertius, who has done an outstanding job. More work needs to be done, and that's why tomorrow we will start with the 2021 election preparation, because that's a local government election. We are seeing that the ANC has dropped significantly nationally, which means they become now a normal political party, no more a liberation movement, which sends us a signal that they will lose the next election in South Africa.
Doctor, interestingly enough, in the Roux region, also Jaco region, the Roux party seems to have disappeared virtually off the map. Please just give us your insight into that as well.
Well, we have seen that in the East region there were a number of smaller parties that formed the basis for coalition parties. They have not been very stable. There was a lot of political instability in those smaller parties. So what in that Garden Route area, the voters have expressed a motion of no confidence in those smaller parties that held the majority parties hostage in these coalition agreements, and I'm particularly happy that we can now govern with an outright majority in these areas. But again, govern with humility is key for us in the Democratic Alliance.
Interestingly enough, it seems as if the Freedom Front may have wrested some of the DA support, in some instances coming in at approximately 8% or more on the one hand, and similarly the Freedom Front, the EFF also making a showing. Your views on that?
Well, we in the Democratic Alliance, we believe in multi-party democracy. That's the choice of the voters, and as the DA, we respect the choice of the voters. We are obviously disappointed to see that many of the youth have also voted for the EFF, because that is a populist narrative. But we have seen that in the rest of the country, they were rejected by most of the people, because the EFF really stands for everything for free. And some of the youth believe they will get everything for free. But when the reality strikes in after the election, they will see that that dream is not possible in South Africa, and hope that next time we will have more investment into the youth. But we are particularly happy that the youth gave an outright majority to that region particularly, and the EFF is just a populist party. Populism all over the world is on the rise, so that is just a simple trend that we are seeing, but we are convinced that there are 278 municipalities in South Africa, and the EFF is not running one single municipality. So that is a populist narrative, but it doesn't translate in winning local government elections in South Africa.
And your views on the Freedom Front?
Well, currently we have seen that they have grown significantly. We wait for the final figures before we can express a certain opinion, but we welcome multi-party democracy in South Africa.
Doctor, thank you for speaking to the good group editors.
Thank you very much. It's a great TV channel, newspapers, and I'm always happy to speak to one of the objective newspapers, even sometimes critical about us, but that's the nature of democracy.
Thank you, sir.